taking a look right now at BTC and ETH, I mean, we have seen BTC do the unthinkable. I mean, everybody, anybody that says that they predicted that we'd see a new all-time high pre-halving this year, I would say was probably a liar if they said that before the halving. But we have seen it since then. Of course, we've seen a pullback. Ewok and I have been talking on the show for a while. Like, we thought we would get into the 40Ks. We haven't quite seen that yet. We've, I think, gone as low as about 57K. Right now, we sit at about 61.4K. ETH is just below 3K at the moment. If you have charts that you want to bring up for BTC, feel free, obviously. But yeah, as a view of the overall market, and I'll let you take this whatever direction you want to, Axis, whether it's just looking at the chart for BTC right now, kind of midterm, and then transitioning into like this whole cycle. We definitely want to know your thoughts that we've talked about before. Lots of people were screaming left translated cycle and how that could work out when we had such a bullish first quarter. Now, timing wise, things are starting to kind of line up a little bit with what we're accustomed to, with things, going, altcoins spring of a year from now, 2025, the bull market ending maybe December of 2025. Now we're kind of getting a little bit back more on that time frame. So I'd ask you kind of, what are you seeing with Bitcoin here at the moment, and what's your view as far as the cycle? And we'll just
it's very interesting that we all thought that 45K was going to be an interesting level around the time that the Bitcoin ETF popped off, and that would be a sell the news event. And it actually proved to be the opposite this time. So once again, the market was wrong, or at least the consensus was wrong. And this mid 40s level, I mean, it was choppy. There was a lot of this wick here was actually the ETF launch, and that candle there is it's a bearish candle. This is a weekly chart for Bitcoin. This is like a pretty bearish hammer of sorts. If the body had pushed down a little bit farther, that'd be like a massive shooting star, which would have been a bearish reversal candle. But within 3 weeks, on that fourth week, we actually bullishly engulfed it and went higher. And that was when we were seeing like record levels of inflows into the space like we had never seen before. And so this cycle was a little bit different in that, we had never seen literally that much amount of money coming into the space, and that much sort of like a surface area in terms of all these different funds and ETFs that could actually get exposure now for the first time. So I think that's what caused this like second leg up. And so you did kind of see it, Bitcoin overperform this period, then comparing it to prior cycles. And I actually took this time, like it was around the time that this bullish engulfing came in right here. I drew this blue line, and I've left it up on the chart ever since. And this is kind of what I was thinking at the time would be appropriate to see coming into, like, let's say end of the year. It was a rough draw at the time, but it was like by end of the year, early next year, actually seeing us fully retrace the move and come back down and test that 40K ETF level as support to some degree, one way or the other. I would say that this is a rough draw. It's probably a little too far right translated. If we're going to see this actually pull back that hard, it may actually happen sooner. So maybe like, before the end of the year, and then next year we would see an up move. So of course I can throw fractals on here and bars patterns and give you guys an idea of how I think this could play out, and whether or not this is bullish or bearish. I think I want to just echo some statements that one of my favorite analysts in all of crypto has been talking about, which is...
Hey, Axis, before you go, you're starting to get that really heavy background audio noise. I don't know if you want to unplug and plug it back in.
Yeah, it's almost like a fan. Yeah, there we go. It's like almost like a fan is hitting it or something like that.
Is that better?
Much better.
Yeah, I'm not hearing
it. It's still there.
Is it?
I wasn't hearing it yet, but I don't know.
How about now? That's weird sometimes.
I don't hear it anymore.
If it comes back up, I'll just tell me again, and I'll switch to the mic boom if it gets crazy.
Yeah, you're good now.
Thank you for telling me that, by the way. So when you're trying to listen in, and I got so many people with ADD trying to follow this, and if they got a freaking tornado blowing in the background, it could be kind of challenging. So check this out. So I think this is the main piece. We're in a bull market. This is not the top. This is typical mid-cycle action. It's just a little overextended to the top side. I suppose you could kind of say that this feels a lot like this period here in 2015. No, this is 2016, where we kind of just shot right up. And we just needed some time to cool off before building out that next leg. I mean, you could maybe say it was down here, similar types of action where you just get a really bullish push higher too quickly. And so we're just needing to come back and catch that trend. And maybe we'll form a new trend, like at a different angle. This is more like a 45-degree angle. Maybe that's what we'll kind of see this time up here, where we just, instead of going so harsh to the upside, maybe we'll come back. We just want to come back and test this more 45-degree angle of support, which gives us so much time to cool off and chill out, give institutions time to sell this expensive Bitcoin to incoming money, you know, to build up the reserves for the next leg when it comes down here to test that like $44,000, $45,000, $46,000 range. And this is saying that would happen by August when you touch this trend line. And so what Steve Courtney says is he looks at the 2-month chart, candlestick chart, and each one of these candlesticks represents 2 months of price action. And he's looking at this last monthly print, and he's seeing this
tornadoes back.
Yeah, your tornado is coming back hardcore right now. Yeah, I think it's trying to F with you.
All right. Quality won't be as good, but
That's
I
all
gotta
right.
get that figured out.
It's all good. I hear you clearly.
So that this is a shooting star, and a shooting star candlestick pattern is, and this is 2 months of data, so this has got a lot of power. This is basically the type of situation where Bitcoin can run all the way back up to 73,000, even make a new high, and still get just planted in its place and get knocked back down and go lower. Because this shooting star candlestick bearish reversal pattern is on a 2-month time frame. So this means that between now and June, this current candle that's printing on the 2-month could go up, 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 and then get rejected hard, come down here, and then sometime by September we start to bottom, start to build up, and we can reverse then. And then this wouldn't have us breaking out of this structure until next year, January, basically. And this would be a welcome to, people in Pulse Chain are going to hate it because this could really threaten the lows if this type of situation happens. Think about like the rest of the year just as like kind of really crappy price action for Bitcoin. That could be good for some altcoins. They'll have their own periods and runs, but not the fully bullish trend just going straight up into the right for BTC. Then that wouldn't translate into ETH, and then that wouldn't translate into Pulse Chain potentially, without some efforts from big players. But I think this is good. Do you guys think that this is good? There's some kind of a sideways period so we can cool off and set up for like a bigger, longer term run, and then I'll pull up some other charts in a second.
Yeah, that's what I anticipated too. The rest of this year, kind of choppy, not seeing anything even until maybe late. I was thinking November-ish before it starts to kind of reverse around. But
yep,
yeah, that's what I had been thinking as well.
This is November, so this 2-month candle here, the blue line would be November. That would be the part where you'd come back, and we basically spend 4 months down here between like 44K and like 55K, which, by the way, that's pretty good if you're really thinking about the global history of Bitcoin. What is 8 months in the middle of a bull cycle, really?